have to say, people keep forgetting that we have the internet. So if you tweeted about how happy you were about people in the streets dancing for Joe Biden, and now you're pretending you're clutching your pearls. Oh no, people are having beer and they're celebrating on the streets in Tampa. We're going to remember that. And people are going to do a screenshot and they're going to do a side-by-side. That's how that works. But I'm happy because there's a lot of news to get to, and it just doesn't involve these hypocritical politicians. It also involves an entire hypocritical family. That would be the Biden crime family. And that's why I'm bringing on Matt Boyle. He's a guest, a friend of the show, Washington political editor at Breitbart News. You can find him on Twitter at mboyle1, I believe. Matt Boyle, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Matt, I wanted to start with the Biden interview with CBS that played, I think it was during, or it was either after or before the Super Bowl. And one moment that's garnering a lot of pushback, even from Democrats, is the conversation around Hunter's book. I want to play the cut, Matt, just so I can give people an idea of what's happening here. But Biden talked about the book with Norah O'Donnell, and I want to get your take. This is cut 21.
You know, I'll bet there's not a family you know that doesn't have somebody in the family that had a drug problem or an alcohol problem. But the honesty with which he stepped forward and talked about the problem and the hope, that it gave me hope reading it. I mean, it was like, my boy's back. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm sorry to get so personal.
Well, it's more than him getting personal, Matt. It's obviously him talking about a book and kind of promoting it on this major platform. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, look, so first and foremost, Joe Biden's right that there are many people across America that have drug problems, and most people know a family member or a friend or something like that who's gone through it, and it's awful. But here's the deal. Joe Biden is the president of the United States right now. He is, by pushing this, he's promoting the enrichment of his family members, using the office of the presidency to do so, and that's what he's essentially hawking and selling his son's book, which his son is going to make money off of from the sales of that book. This is a problem with the Biden family writ large. We call them the Biden Five. So Hunter Biden is one of them. His son-in-law, Howard Klein, is another one. His two brothers, Frank and James Biden, are the other five. And then there's Valerie Biden, his sister. All of them, over the course of his decades in public service, have made money off of Joe Biden being a senator, being vice president in the United States, and now they're cashing in on Joe Biden being president in the United States. This is a problem that we see across the board in politics, in both the Republican and Democrat parties, where career politicians oftentimes turn their power and their office into a cash cow for either themselves or their family members, or both in some cases. This has been a problem with the Biden family for a long time. My colleague here at Breitbart, Peter Schweitzer, who also runs the Government Accountability Institute, has done a number of books, deep dive investigations into the Biden family and other career politicians. And by the way, this is not something that's exclusive to the Democrat Party. Republicans are, in many cases, just as guilty, if not more so in some cases, than Democrats. And so this is a career politician, swamp politician thing. And this is a large part of the reason why people elected President Trump back in 2016 to begin with, because he was going to drain the swamp. And in many ways he did. He actually took on a lot of career politicians and cut a lot of this stuff out. But the problem persists. Career politicians are always going to do this. And we look at the various deals that happened with Biden's family members, whether it be Hunter Biden's deals with the Ukrainians and the Chinese, whether it be Frank and James and their various deals in Central America and in Iraq, and so on and so forth. This is a clearly very corrupt family that is seeking to cash in on the presidency now. And Joe Biden being out there front and center selling his son's book. Again, we all feel for him and his family and the drug problem. We understand that it's a real problem in this country, and Hunter Biden's situation is not unique. But at the same time, Joe Biden out there hawking books for his son means that he is directly, as president of the United States and commander-in-chief seeking to enrich his own family members with an action that he made in that interview. And it's something that I think we're going to continue to see more of over the course of the Biden presidency. Look, we're only 3 weeks in, right? Like 2.5 weeks in. And Biden's already, the Bidens are already cashing in. And it's not just the Biden family, by the way. Mina Harris, who's the niece of Kamala Harris, has been warned by Biden transition and White House lawyers that she needs to cool it. She's been out there, too, using her aunt's position as now Vice President of the United States, then Vice President-elect, to try to enhance her image and reputation.
And Matt,
again,
I want to stop you there for 1 sec, because I do think it's worth noting that former President Barack Obama's ethics chief, Walter Schaub, actually tweeted out after that interview between Joe and Norah O'Donnell. He said, "It is not acceptable for the President of the United States to be part of the book promotion tour. No." He later deleted the tweet. I'm sure he got plenty of pushback from the left-wing trolls. And I did see that about Nina, but I just want to stay on the Bidens here for 1 second, because I do have to ask you a little bit about Howard Krein. I did not know this story. And ABC put out a story, I think either today or yesterday. I saw that Peter Schweitzer mentioned that they are building on a story that he's already reported on. As you said, profiles and corruption. He's been talking about this for a long time. But can you kind of explain to people, in just kind of the surface level, because I don't want to get too into the weeds, but who is Howard Krein and why does he have such a conflict of interest right now?
So he is Ashley Biden's husband. So Ashley Biden is Joe's daughter, and so it's Joe's son-in-law. He's connected into a number of these different deals, and apparently when Joe was the vice president of the United States, actually created companies in the Oval Office when Joe was vice president back during the Obama administration, and then those became profitable. I highly encourage everybody go and get a copy of Peter's book and read it for themselves and do their own research on this and look up Howard Krein, Breitbart, Peter Schweitzer, because I think you'll see a lot more on this. And there's definitely going to be a lot more that keeps coming out. But the pattern that we saw with the Biden family during his time in the Senate, then later as vice president, and now as president, is continuing and accelerating, where they are engaged in efforts to enrich themselves. So again, this Howard Krein character is going to be a major character. He's one of the Biden five, right? He doesn't have the Biden last name like Hunter, Valerie, Frank, and James do. But Howard Krein is just as involved because he's married into the family through Ashley's daughter. Look, the way these guys roll is a lot like the mob, right? It's a lot like the mob. Joe Biden's the clean guy that they put out there that doesn't get personally involved in it all. Now, again,
the big guy
with this interview, right? Yeah, he's the big guy, right? Like so, but they keep him out of the specifics of the deals as much as possible. But they trade in and cash in on the name, and we see this as a pattern that's emerged through emails that have been obtained, whether it be, the various emails that came out in the New York Post and other places in the lead up to the election, whether it be emails that we got. So we actually flipped one of Hunter Biden's business partners from prison, right? So this guy named Bevan Cooney, who turned on him and gave us access to his entire email account, where we went through and published several emails that demonstrate, again, this is a sophisticated, thought-through business model that they operate under. Then there's Tony Bobulinski, another business partner who later flipped after Bevan Cooney did on the Biden family as well. So, but again, the way they operate is a lot like the mob. They've got their front man out there. That's Joe Biden, and they keep him as much as they can away from the specific deals. But they do have a full-scale, sophisticated model in which they use his power and position and prestige and office to trade in and cash in and make as much money as they possibly can on the side, especially with foreign deals. You see this a lot with foreign countries and entities like the Ukrainian natural gas company Burisma, like the Chinese Communist Party and its various institutions over there, like certain home building, real estate deals in Iraq, like certain things in Costa Rica. So again, we're going to be tracking this very closely over the course of the Biden presidency, but we're just at the beginning of it, and we're already seeing them operate as we warned the American people they would.
And Matt, I'm talking to Matt Boyle from Breitbart, excellent reporter, and we are so grateful that people like you and Peter Schweitzer keep track of the Bidens and what they're doing. But I noticed something he said when he was asked about, well, first of all, let's play this cut. This is Biden with Jake Tapper in December talking about his family. This is cut 7.
Will your brothers, will your son take leave from any business interests, not just foreign, but any business interests that might create any even appearance of impropriety?
My son, my family will not be involved in any business, any enterprise that is in conflict with or appears to be in conflict, whether it's appropriate distance from the presidency and government.
Now, Matt, I want to ask you about that, but something else I noticed was I read a quote today from him where he said, we're going to run this like the Obama-Biden administration. Do you think does that give you a lot of trust in this, that it's going to be run like the scandal-free Obama administration?
Well, first off, the Obama administration was one of the most scandalous in history. So that's just a misconception that's put forward by dishonest people in the establishment media. We saw everything from the Fast and Furious gun running scandal to Solyndra, to Light Square, to Benghazi, so on and so forth. The Delphi pensions, which we're still dealing with today. There's just so many scandals that happened during the Obama administration to count. And then also, obviously, all the Biden family corruption stuff that they did when he was vice president. Biden's already lied about this. So that comment that he made to Jake Tapper is already a lie. Hunter Biden still has investment stake, as the White House actually confirmed at a press briefing earlier this week or last week. They confirmed that Hunter Biden still has investment in BHR.
Yeah, and Matt, didn't they use some term like he's trying to untangle himself from it, or it was some weird term?
Right, but that's the thing is that I mean, we're 2.5 weeks. Nearly 3 weeks tomorrow since the inauguration, and if the fact that as of if he wasn't divested from this company as of noon on January 20th, that means that his father Joe Biden lied to Jake Tapper. And by the way, you don't see Jake Tapper following up on this, right? You don't see CNN doing deep dive investigations into the fact that Joe Biden, the now president of the United States, lied to him when he was president-elect of the United States. But the fact of the matter is that's a lie now that Hunter Biden continues to have this investment in this Chinese-connected company while his father's president of the United States. He may be trying to divest, he may be trying to get out of it, but he's connected into it. And again, we now see the Biden family already at work trying to trade in on Joe Biden's name as president of the United States to use the power of the Oval Office. Whether Joe's involved in the decisions or not, or aware of the decisions or not, they are doing it actively. His brothers are already out there pitching clients on that their brother is the most powerful man in the world. And again, this is already causing problems for the Biden White House. And I think it's only going to continue to intensify, because one of the things that's pretty clear about politicians in the swamp in Washington, D.C., and again, this is both parties. This is not just the Democrat Party, it's the Republican Party, too, is that people don't change. So these people are behaving as expected, and so we're only going to they're already doing stuff. There's plenty of stuff going on that we don't even know about yet, that we're going to be finding out in the coming days, weeks, and months, and even years ahead. So I'm sure that as the reporting bears itself, by the way, look at the people that he's put into key positions around the government. People like Jeff Zients. Okay, Jeff Zients is now running the COVID response stuff. Okay, so now this guy was the deputy director of the Office of Management and Budget.
Hold on, Matt. Can I hold you there? And would you ever come on the other side? Because I have a couple more questions for you.
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. So hold on there. I'm talking to Matt Boyle from Breitbart. Excellent guest, knows a lot about this. And it's funny because finally other mainstream news networks like ABC are getting involved, but Breitbart's been on this forever. Guys, my friends at Eden Pure have done it again, and for as long as supplies last, Thunderstorm air purifiers will come with a free Kennedy Babylon by Howie Carr. That's buy one Thunderstorm air purifier and get a Kennedy Babylon for free. And that's in addition, we didn't know this yesterday, but that's in addition to the $10 in savings Eden Pure is already offering on the Thunderstorm. I'm holding it up here. It's been months. People still ask me if it really works. I, of course, use it all the time. My fiance likes to cook a lot at home, especially steaks and, meat and things like that. And the smell can linger. So I just turn on the Thunderstorm. It goes away in a second. Jared uses it for his comic books, the smell of the
comic book smell. And I actually warmed up some shrimp scampi in the microwave today, and you didn't even know.
There you go.
Because of the Thunderstorm.
It's so easy to move and take with you on a trip. You can move it around the house really easily. You don't have to replace any air filters. So it's easy to use. It's small. It's quiet. And it's just a really great thing to have in the house, especially in the winter when things can get really damp. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word GRACEBOOK. The free book is while supplies last, so grab yours today. Some listeners found this deal over the weekend before we started promoting it, so it will run out pretty soon. EdenPure.com, code word GRACEBOOK. That's EdenPure.com, code word GRACEBOOK. Shipping is free. We'll be back on the other side with the poll question and with Matt Boyle from Breitbart. Don't go anywhere. This is the Grace Curley Show.
She's never held office, but she paid the whiskey priest's monthly rent once. She's Grace Curley.
Rating.
Oh, nice. All right, Matt Boyle from Breitbart. Matt, I wanted to kind of end because I only have a minute or two here, but I have to ask you, in your professional opinion, the Clinton family versus the Biden family, who takes the number one spot to be called a crime family?
Well, they're both a little bit different. So the Clintons are more in your face about it. The Bidens are much more effective and subtle about it. So the Bidens' corruption runs, I would argue, more deeper than the Clintons, but it's less brazen and less in your face, but it's more systemic and built in. Like I was saying before the break there, guys like Jeff Zients are now running the COVID response for the government. But before, back during the Obama administration, he was taking, at Hunter Biden's request, Chinese Communist Party officials, which they called in these emails that we talked about there from Bevan Cooney, were called This is China Incorporated. We had a big story about it before the election, into the White House. So the Bidens are much more long game, effective, and systemic about corruption. The Clintons are more grifty and in your face about it, right? Like, so it's different kinds of corruption. But the Bidens, I would argue, are worse than the Clintons ever could have been.
Now, Matt, I have to ask you about between you. You said the Biden 5, and so we only have a few seconds left here. But my question would be: out of all of those 5, who does Joe have to worry about the most? For a while, it seemed like it was Hunter, but these two brothers are making me think that they might be more of a headache for Joe than Hunter could ever be.
The two brothers are definitely a problem for him, and then also, I think you're on the right track with this crime guy, his son-in-law, because his son-in-law isn't a drug addict like Hunter Biden is, and so he could be much craftier and more effective about using the power to achieve corrupt goals.
Matt Boyle from Breitbart, thank you so much for being with us. Everyone, make sure you tune in the next hour. We're going to be talking impeachment. Jared said the managers are walking in. We'll be right back. This is The Grace Curley Show.